another executive director, Jerald O'Kennard from the Beverage Testing Institute. And the focus of today's conversation is going to be the New York Wine Classic. And we have some exciting changes to share with you and hopefully get some of your feedback on that as well. So I'm going to kick things off first, and then I'll pass it over to Jerald. And then we'll hear from Duncan Ross at Arrowhead Springs. So just here's the agenda for you. I'll touch on the history of the classic, recent enhancements we've made, some other enhancements we were anticipating making before COVID, and then how COVID remixed more stuff for us to think about. And then I'll pass it over to Jerald, and he'll talk about BTI, what they do, their process, and the experience that they've had with the New Jersey Wine Grape Growers competition, and then just an overview of other enhanced review services that they're able to provide. So I'm sure many of you have been longtime participants in the New York Wine Classic, which was formerly known as the New York Wine and Food Classic. And it's been held for 30 years. And I think based on what the staff has told me, it was held in California for a couple of years. It was held in New York City. But recent history, it's been held at the Watkins Glen Harbor Hotel, basically the first week of August every year. And what I find really exciting and why we've continued to do it during my tenure is just we keep getting more and more entries every year. Last year, we eliminated spirits and cider as categories, yet we had our most entries ever. So, it's clear that, wineries really, I think, value the recognition. And, I put a little picture in there of Palmanock. I was really trying to find a sign of their winery entrance, because they used to have a big banner up that said, we were, Wine and Food Classic Winery of the Year it might have been 2003 or 2013, 2015. But there's plenty of wineries across the state that really celebrate their accolades and recognition from the Wine Classic. And, I think the more ways we can celebrate our community of the New York wine and grape industry, the better. And the Classic is a real excellent way to recognize quality and recognize excellence in our industry. And, I know Jim liked to tout the fact that if you were one of the top winners, that meant you were guaranteed to sell out of that winning wine. And I think that continues to remain true, that retailers across the state really are successful with selling the winning wines from the New York Wine Classic every fall. So, that is a good benefit of the Classic. And then I think more importantly, since Governor Cuomo has taken office, there's been a better alignment with his executive office, the Department of Agriculture. And so, we have had, press releases from him, and you see him here, and I believe that may have been 2014 or 2015, presenting an award to the Governor's Cup to the Wilt Burgers of Keuka Spring Vineyards. And the partnership with his office has really brought I think, credibility and meaningfulness to the top prizes. And just here's a little bit more. Lieutenant Governor on the left, and then Governor Cuomo again. I think for a couple of years, he would present the awards at the Harvest East End in Long Island, which unfortunately is no longer held, but was just another great way to kind of raise the profile of the winning wineries from the Classic. So over the past 3 years, one thing that we've worked to address is raising the caliber of the judges. So we've been more intentional about bringing in MWs and certified somms to serve as judges, and also credible wine media. There was some questions about the results. I think the first year I came in, and we really wanted to kind of ensure the credibility of the event through excellent judging. And I think that's resulted, as I shared, increase in submissions over the past couple of years. And part of doing that is we recruited Lorraine Hems, who had been a judge for a long time, to serve as the head judge and really, help set the tone with the rest of the judges, help orient them to, how New York wines, in some cases, have a different style from what a judge may normally observe from other competitions, since we do also include hybrids and natives as part of our competition. And as I shared, we rebranded from the Food and Wine Classic to the New York Wine Classic, and we got on 99 designs and did a design competition. And the logo you see at the bottom is what came out of that. I guess I shouldn't disparage my own logo. I like it, but I don't know about the glass and the cup, the way that looks, but it's definitely what we wanted to do is kind of give the classic its own identity that was unique and professional. I think the logo achieves that. And one thing we added was we started subsidizing the marketing materials. We worked with a company called First Print. So bottle neck displays, stickers, box inserts, and even kind of digital logos too, we've made available for folks to use to kind of highlight their accolades from the New York Wine Classic. And then we started doing dinners. First year we partnered with the New York Kitchen to celebrate all the winners, and last year we did a series of dinners across the state. Most notably, the one I went to was at the Taylor and the Cook in Utica, which is an excellent restaurant that is 100% New York State produce and has an all New York State wine list. And so we had a wonderful dinner there last November. And just here on the left, you'll see this is the winner of our dessert wine last year, and it's Vineyard View in Penn Yan. And just here's some other examples. On the left is from the press deck, us announcing the dinner at New York Kitchen. And then, again, in partnership with the Department of Ag, we did a celebratory awards presentation at the Finger Lakes Welcome Center in Geneva. And all the winners there got to meet with Commissioner Ball and have the awards presented. And then just here's an example of, Wagner Vineyards was our Winery of the Year last year, and they've done a really great job of deploying the Wine Classic logo in their communication. So this is signature line from John Wagner, but if you went to their winery, they have a big banner up. I believe they got the bottle stickers and they were putting it on the bottles too. And then this is First in Print, who we had been using for the marketing materials. And then just on the right is, you can see the markups for the various Governor's Cup Winery of the Year. And we hope to continue to do that because we think it's a nice value add and kind of, again, adds to the profile and the prestige of the event. So pre-COVID, we were contemplating moving the timing of the Classic to better align with the governor's office because the governor is a difficult guy to lock down, and you're never assured if he'll show up to an event just because things happen and other things take priority as much as he loves our wine industry. So we were thinking of moving at least the ceremony of the Classic to Albany in February to align with the legislative session. So it would be highly likely that the governor could be there to present the awards. We could get members of the legislature there. Just in general, it's a busy time in Albany. So, we're primarily funded by the state of New York. And so I think for us to remain top of mind with our state government and to show them the impact and the value of our industry, to hold the Governor's Cup celebration actually in the Governor's Mansion in Albany is a valuable way for us to, highlight the contributions of the industry to the state. So I think I have these bullet points here. Yeah. So another thing that was discussed was that the Governor's Mansion would commit to buying the winning wines and serving them over the course of the year at the mansion. So as another, beneficial marketing point that wineries can point to is that, not only can you find my wines in your local retail store, but if you have the honor of being invited to dinner with the governor at the mansion, he'll be serving you a New York State wine and it'll be mine. And so sort of this thinking came from this past February. We partnered with the New York Wine Industry Association to do a lobby day in Albany, and they host their annual sip and sample event in the well of the legislative lobby in Albany. And it was the best attended they ever had. And, just again, to tie back, we want to make sure that our state government sees the impact of the wine industry and the quality of the product that we're making. And it's all from New York State. So not surprisingly, COVID sort of pushed us forward and advanced our plans. It was clear that it wasn't going to be feasible to hold the Classic in August because of everything, just not being safe, limited travel, quarantine, all that good stuff. Unfortunately, it was early enough in the year that we could cancel it without much of a financial implication in terms of, reserving space, paying for travel and all that. And so as we, continue to be constrained by COVID and as an organization, if you've been paying attention to the press deck, we've been doing a lot to pivot the organization, provide more capacity building services for the industry and be responsive to the COVID impacts. It normally takes a full 3 months of one staff person's time to organize and manage the Classic. And, kudos to Jen Cooper, who stepped up over the past 2 years to really take that on. But literally it's it's her job every day to take in the lines, to flight them, to organize them. It's a big process. And so we were just looking forward to the fall, and we're like, geez, like, how are we going to be able to be able to hold the competition the way we normally do? And so we didn't really have a solution in mind, but we just knew there was going to be maybe 2 trains coming at each other. One is us trying to do our best to pivot our programming, and the other is to continue doing the Classic. And on top of that, I think today we can still say it seems quite risky to be holding an in-person event next winter. There could be a second wave of COVID. So, for a staff member to dedicate most of their fall to organize an event that ultimately might get canceled is just really not a smart idea. In addition to, again, recruiting judges, paying for their travel, having them be in the same room, I think it just really takes away from, I think, what's made the Classic special in the past is I think it's been a great community event of, the grape growers, they come in and they help support in the back room to help organize the lines. And just sort of missing that, it made us start thinking about, well, what's an alternative? And, fortunately I was on a call with Wine America. They do a monthly call of all the state and regional associations, and Tom Constantino from the New Jersey Wine Grape Growers, he was sharing, well, we are still doing our competition, and we've had this great partnership with the Beverage Tasting Institute, and it's really made a big difference in the credibility of our event. And it's provided them transparent and non-partial evaluation system. And they were sort of similar to the Classic in that they worked with Rutgers Cooperative Extension, and they had a set of judges that came back every year that judged the wines. And there was questions about transparency and the impartiality of judging that would arise every year. And so, they partly made this move to, raise the credibility of their results. And I don't know if I'm stealing Jerald's thunder from later, but I think a cool bit of the story is kind of similar to what I was sharing, like having the governor's mansion commit to buying the winning wines, is that the First Lady of the state of New Jersey, after participating in their celebratory event at the mansion, was like, from this day forward, only New Jersey wines will be served here. So we want that same result. And what I think found compelling about working with the Beverage Tasting Institute is they have a credible evaluation system. We don't have to handle the wines. The wines go directly to them, and they judge them over a 3-month period. And we can still, partner with the governor's office to celebrate the winners, much like New Jersey did. One thing, we haven't quite locked down what we're going to do. I mean, for sure, we know we're going to have the Beverage Tasting Institute provide us the best of class winners, the wine of the year. They are able to do the Governor's Cup winner for us, but we're trying to figure out how do we still have a good fingerprint on this. And maybe we do the Governor's Cup round with a group of judges in February at the Governor's Mansion, and the governor is a guest judge, although hopefully his scores may not count since he may have a particular opinion. He did a similar thing with the Brewers Association a couple years ago when they had their first Governor's Cup. They did a judging down in Pier A in Manhattan, and I believe he participated. If not, Commissioner Ball was there, and also his scores didn't count, but he was on a panel with some credible folks who judged the beers. And so we just want to have that alignment with the governor's office. And the other thing we're going to add is part of the pivot we're doing is more virtual tastings, and we're starting that in September with what was supposed to have happened with the grand tasting, we were going to have seminars at the Rainbow Room. So we're taking those seminars live as a virtual tasting. So we plan to do the same thing with the winners of the New York Wine Classic. And I just wanted to just share with you, BTI is familiar with the New York wine industry, and many of our peers are using their review services already or are participating in competitions that they help support. So you'll see here, Dr. Frank, they have several wines that have been evaluated and judged: Wagner Vineyards, Heron Hill, Brickstone Cellars, which is a brand of Pleasant Valley Wine Company. I guess I got into this a little bit. How will it be judged differently? So as I said, basically the wines will be sent directly to BTI. You'll pay BTI directly. They have a whole online submission form that you'll use, and I know Jerald will get into that. And we're looking at doing a submission timeline from November 2020 through January 2021. And then, and their judging is based on 100-point scale. In the past, we've had double gold, but their scoring system, the top award is platinum. So double gold will be platinum this year. And as I shared, we're still deciding on direction for the Governor's Cup, and we're open to your feedback as to what your preference would be. And we'll probably lock down the details for that later this fall. But I'll say for sure, we're going to do a celebratory event at the Governor's Mansion for the winners. I've already been in touch with Department of Ag about that. So just to cover what the options are going to be when you go to submit your wines. Option one is competition only. And if you're familiar with the submission fees that we had for the Classic in the past, it's the same fee structure essentially, which is if you're a non-member, it's $75. If you're a member of the Wine and Grape Foundation, it's $65. What is different is I think we required you to submit 3 sample bottles. BTI requires 2. They will create a PDF award for you that will be sent to you. And one thing that I really like that I think we could have done better with the Classic is actually being able to provide everyone with constructive criticism and feedback from the trade buyers that are part of the tasting panel. So I just think the way we did it was we had handwritten notes in the past. So when someone asked us for that feedback, we could get it for them. We just had to go through all the handwritten notes. So I think it's really nice that this is a really nice value add of working with BTI, is having this constructive criticism that you can have of your wines. And then they have another option, which is a full review. It's $125 per wine. We're not going to provide a member rate on this year. What's neat about this, you probably saw those pictures of the other wineries. So the reviews on the bottom, if you go to tasting.com, and I think Jerald might take us there, is you'll have this really nice page with tasting notes, what it pairs well with, a little overview of your winery, and then a link to Wine Searcher if someone's interested in purchasing it. And BTI also has their own kind of branded marketing collateral too that you can opt into if you'd like. And then again, just having that criticism and feedback, I think, is really valuable. And what I'm excited about is I think, there's long been conversations that I've had with folks across the state about, how do we raise the quality standard of New York State wines? And I think part of that is having, objective and impartial reviews that, really help you understand where your wine stacks up and what you can do to, improve it. So it is, a better wine, more competitive, and, makes more people happy. So that is a summary of what we're planning on doing. And I'm going to turn over to Jerald, who will, talk to us about BTI and their methodology and, how excited they are to partner with us too.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. That was great. And so, welcome. I'm Jerald Okenard, Executive Director of Beverage Testing Institute. And I've been here at BTI for 21 years now. And the organization has been around since 1981. We actually started BTI in New York. It was founded by Craig Goldwyn in Ithaca. and he actually collaborated with sensory scientists from Cornell University to develop our early hedonic methodology, which we use a variation of to this day. So we have deep roots and deep ties to New York State wines. Every year I've been here, we have reviewed New York State wines. We have a panel that's familiar with hybrid grapes, familiar with all of the variations of the climates and the Finger Lakes and in the North Fork, and we have the data to kind of go back to and check how wines have performed over time and so forth. So we're sitting on quite a repository of knowledge about New York State. So I'm really happy that we're able to bring it to the table and help solve the problem that Sam and his team have this year. I think the solution as it's been proposed is a really good one. It's something that's very doable on our end. We have capacity. So I just wanted to show you a little bit about our methodology. I'm just going to share my screen and go to our site, which is called BevTest. Stay on Firefox here. And so our site, bevtest.com, really explains our services and our methodology. I'll just touch on some things. We are doing everything blind. We have a dedicated lab that we use, and I will show you a picture of the updated lab, the COVID updates for the lab. That's a picture of it here. It's also my backdrop. Really, we rely on, as Sam had said, trade buyers. These are people that are decision makers, and we found through our years of doing these evaluations that they're really the people that are being presented the most amount of products and have to convert those into things that will work on their lists, and they're really good arbiters of quality and what will work for their clientele, people who are actually end users and drinking. So here's an example of our panelists, beverage directors, writers, people who are buyers for organizations here in the Midwest. So we rely on them very heavily to do our panels. They all have different areas of expertise. I do want to show you a picture of what we've done recently, just for everyone's safety and COVID. I have a shot here of our lab. My wife and her brother-in-law built these partitions around the tables here. Everyone is separated 6 feet. Everyone's working in their station and are presented the wines in a cart. So there's no going up to get wines or going about to spittoons and dumping buckets and things like that, which we used to do in the past. So it's a system we've been doing ever since lockdown ended, and it's been working really well. Smaller numbers of panels, and normally our panels are set up to accommodate 5 expert judges at a time. Right now we're doing 3 to 4, just to make sure there's plenty of room, plenty of fans in circulation in the room. So on our site we talk about that in this particular post. I just wanted you to see kind of where we're at and where the wines will be evaluated. We have a case study actually that Sam touched on, our work with New Jersey. That's Phil Murphy over here on the right. I don't know where we're cut off here, but yeah, they had the challenge of running their own competition, and a lot of the transparency and perhaps infighting sort of issues were problematic for them. So we were able to provide this bespoke solution for them, where they outsourced the competition to us. We're going our 3rd year with them. It's been going very well. Since that point, we've brought in Arizona online as running the Wilcox Wine Partners competition for them, and we've had good results doing that, and they've seemed very pleased. I went to their award ceremony last year. So yes, I think the fact that Tammy Murphy decided that based on the fact that this seemed to be like a really amazing thing that was happening now with the competition, she declared that all of the wines served at the Governor's Mansion in New Jersey would be New Jersey wines, which was historic and very beneficial for the winemakers. So the last time I was down there, in point of fact, many of the winemakers said it's increased their sales by up to a quarter. So that was really good news, and we're so glad that we're able to help them out to this day and providing the solution that we have. So as Sam mentioned, the wineries will be dealing directly with us. I just wanted to show a little bit about what that experience would be like, just the ease of use. So I actually logged in, Duncan, as Arrowhead Spring Vineyards, and to just kind of show what the experience is like in terms of people submitting, they click on submit for review, they would submit on domestic wine. And every month we have different reviews that we are doing, different deadlines. So let's just pretend that we've inserted New York, which we will do next week. And, you know, you can use our usage policy and our, you know, all of our policies to agree to do business with us. And then basically you're selecting your state, what kind of wine in terms of the type. Is it a red, a white, what appellation or category rather? Let's say it's Concord. And then the appellations. And so it's very straightforward. It's easy to register. For people who have done business with us, they will have the ability to kind of resubmit products that they've submitted to in previous years. So it's, you know, it's just a question of just updating the vintage and so forth. So it's a really straightforward system. At the end of it, when, you know, when the results are released, as Sam mentioned, we have kind of a download a digital assets page that will show all of the results that we've published. And you can just download your certificates, the logo that's associated with it, our shelf talkers, and, you know, you can see the review on tastings.com as well. And we always include contact information to the winery. And one of our newer features, as Sam mentioned, this is a buy it now button. This can be customized, which is something we just implemented last year. So we can direct this to, right now it goes to Wine Searcher, as Sam said, and you can go through Wine Searcher, but we can also customize this to go directly to your e-commerce provider of choice or your winery, you know, e-commerce solution at your property. So that's completely part of the full review option 2 that Sam spoke of. So that is sort of, I think, a good motivation for people to consider, you know, the fact that you get the different assets and that you have the ability to customize all the traffic that we're getting to direct to where you want it to go. And, you know, all the reviews, let's just take a look at how they appear on tastings.com. So if you were to go to tastings.com, we would feature, you know, that particular month's top wines here in the top 10 list. So, you know, this would include things that made it from New York, from our different monthly tastings. So that's nice. And then, you know, that directs them to the page and so forth. And then we also have a concatenation of all the, you know, the list of everything we've done for that month. So that would be on the site too in our latest review section. So that's where consumers find, you know, what we're up to and what's been published beyond the homepage. So yeah, we have a lot to offer as far as that. That's all kind of bundled up in that full review option. And in terms of, you know, New Jersey, this year most people went with the competition only option because of COVID and budgetary constraints. So this isn't representative of everything that participated for this particular month, just the people who opted for the full review option. And, you know, we're really, like I said, we have capacity. We're really excited to work with Sam and his team and the wineries and really provide value and hopefully a good solution for this year's classic.
Thanks, Jerald.
You're welcome.
Before we open it up for questions, I just want to turn it over to Duncan really quickly for him to share his experience working with BTI and the value he sees in having wines evaluated by them.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
Yep.
Yeah, we've used BTI a few times in the past just as an individual winery. We also have coordinated regional submissions through BTI, and easy to deal with, very consistent. I would say, you know, I'm of course not always happy with the results. But they are very consistent through the years. The feedback is always good. You know, one year we received a letter from Wine Spectator requesting, you know, that we do a regional submission. So we did, and we followed up about 9 months later, and they sent us a note saying, well, you can't just ship us wine. It has to be requested, and of course it was. So as compared to Wine Spectator, which we no longer submit anything to after that experience. You know, BTI is very consistent. You get what you pay for, I guess, you know, and you're not, I can tell you, you're not getting good results because you're paying for the testing. You're getting the honest results.
And I think, Duncan, you've been someone in the past that's asked for tasting notes from the judges because our classic also sometimes has not been the result you wanted. Not to point that out, but I think that's
and you know, so we've had years where some of the, you know, we're very careful about where we enter because some years we'll get gold, double gold for some of the reds, you know, on the West Coast in competitions, and you know, one year we didn't even get a bronze in classic. So I mean, that's a big swing. That's a consistency issue. And it's a consistency issue across the board. Like the West Coast competition might have been too high, you know, the Wine Classic might have been too low, but it's really, you know, at the end of the day, it's subjective. What you had for breakfast can affect your taste buds for the day.
Yeah, I think elevating the caliber of our judges actually has resulted in us giving out less medals, which is probably a good thing, but also it's a move from a tradition where most people were getting medals when they submitted to the Wine Classic. So I think hopefully this partnership with BTI will help address some consistency issues. I do want to note though, I guess this is sort of like we're trying it out this year. We're not, you know, for sure doing this every single year, but you know, I think if there's a good response from the industry, that this will probably be a partnership we continue. You know, it sort of became a necessity because of the conditions we're on with COVID-19. But you know, I think you know, what we do well is marketing, and you know, we can pick good judges, but I think if we are able to work with a partner that provides credible and consistent results, then we can do more work to help promote the wines in New York and celebrate them, and you know, form other partnerships that help increase the sales of, you know, not only the top winners, but everyone that medals in the New York Wine Classic. So, thank you, Duncan, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Duncan. It was great to hear.
So now we're happy to open it up to questions. If you have any for Jerald or for myself, or you know, you've got other burning issues out there.
I have a question. Doesn't the governor's mansion carry all New York wine now?
I don't know. It should. There's certain distributors that are very good at twisting arms.
Yeah.
I know Amy is always good with the questions, but
sorry, looking for the unmute button. I think the next question is, when's the deadline? So coming up.
Yeah. Well, maybe Jerald, you can answer that, because I know
Sure.
We're going to do a 3-month process. And
we're going to do a 3-month process. So the way we work is that the deadlines will be the first of every month. So what happens, our review process will be, we'll call for the wines the first of every month. We give an extra week or so for deliveries. We start the tastings, and then we deliver the results 45 days after the deadline. So we have a 45-day review window. That's when we, send the results to those who participated, and we publish those results. So we'll do that cycle for 3 months, on the 1st and the 15th of the following month, 1st, 15th of the following month, etc., until we get to February 15th. And at that point, we'll send the tabulated results that we have for the best of class, best of category, and then as Sam said, in terms of the Governor's Cup, that's to be determined.
Yeah, I guess I'll just revisit my question too. I think we're looking at three ways of handling the Governor's Cup. Because BTI has this data-driven model, they're able to, based on, their scoring system, they can determine the Governor's Cup winner just based on the stats and the data, or, based on who are the way the Governor's Cup round works is the best in class winners are then all judged side by side until it's narrowed down to who is the Governor's Cup winner. So, the second option is once all those best in class winners are determined, we then collect another set of samples of those winning wines and send them to BTI, and then they judge them blind again and determine the Governor's Cup winner from there. Or we sort of kind of keep a little bit of the old style of the classic. The foundation recruits, 5 judges on our own that are, high level SOMs or, MWs or just really well-regarded wine critics that would, maybe be in the governor's mansion with the governor judging the best in class winners, and the winner would be announced there. So, we're not in a rush to make a decision, because I think the first and foremost, we really just want everyone to be able to get their wine submitted and judge and evaluate it. And I think we can sort of decide from there what is the best course of action. But, just curious as to if there's any strong feelings out there one way or another.
So
Well,
I always have an opinion.
All right, let's hear it, Duncan.
I would frankly, vote for keeping the Governor's Cup as impartial and objective as you can, and having some hand-picked judges sitting in the governor's mansion sounds not as impartial in quality or quantitative analysis. And then secondarily, I've been having a lot of discussions recently about how East Coast wines in general can really break into the market. I mean, 95% of wines come from the West Coast, of U.S. wines. And, how are we ever going to break out with a different flavor profile, with lower alcohol, with more acidity, which I think everybody on this call loves and appreciates. But how do we get our wines to stack up against and compare to the wines of the West Coast? Not to be the same, but to be different in a good way. And I think this might be the first step towards that type of an evolution in marketing.
Making this change in the evaluation of the classic?
Yeah, because it gives us the opportunity to be part of a bigger pool of wines that are evaluated the same way. And perhaps there'll be some sort of consistent theme in there that we can leverage, just even as just East Coast wines, even beyond New York.
I can speak to the panel experience with that, Duncan. When we started the New Jersey engagement, our panels knew New York wines, but not all of them knew New Jersey wines. So there was a ramp up in that. And they were really pleasantly surprised. They had no idea, the quality that could be there in Chamberson and some of the things that they do so well there in New Jersey. So it got them really jazzed and got them asking questions like, these are people mostly in the sommelier restaurant part of the spectrum. Like, where can I get these wines? Because they're structured for food, as you're talking about, with acidity and lower alcohol. They're like, okay, I want to have this in my palette of offerings. So it was really exciting to see that just from an administrative level, how the panels got into it.
I saw Luann, you popped up on screen. Did you want to say anything or ask a question?
Yeah, I'll just jump right back in. I'm kind of with Duncan. I like the idea of just keeping it all. Once you add that last element of handpicking your own judges, then that impartiality might creep in, or at least the, the thought of that. So by keeping it completely separated, I kind of like that idea, at least to run it, for a couple of years and see how that goes.
Sure. You also run the risk of the governor saying, I don't care if my scores don't count, I'm deciding that this one's the winner.
Not that that would ever happen, but.
We don't want to politicize too much.
Yeah. Well, I was, I'm not to say I'm surprised by these reactions, just I know that sometimes some people are like, well, you guys had Doug Frost on your panel, and, I can market the fact that Doug Frost gave me a double gold, or, so-and-so. So, it's good to know that keeping the impartiality and the quality of the judging consistent throughout the whole process would be valued and wanted. I know we have Lorraine on, who is our head judge. Curious if your reactions or if you have any questions.
Well, I might regret saying it, but as a judge for many, many years at this competition, I think the suggestion that keeping it consistent for this year, having them judge also the Governor's Cup makes sense. Otherwise, yeah, it does feel like at the last minute, maybe you're pulling it back to put it right back into where it might have had some questions in the past. So keeping it consistent all the way through this year makes sense.
Nice.
How do I get on your panel? Okay, never mind.
Quick flight.
Well, sounds like we got a good answer there then. Thanks, Lorraine. I'm just going to call out, I see there's someone from Dr. Frank on. I know you guys have worked with BTI and you were Winer of the Year 2 years ago. Just what's your feeling on the change with the Classic and Governor's Cup? I guess they're ghosting us. All right. Jerald.
Hi,
from Lambs.
Sam.
Hey.
Hi, Sam. I'm sorry.
No
I
worries.
was trying to figure out the camera. I'm sorry. Can
Ghosted.
you repeat your question?
We didn't ghost you, sorry.
Oh.
Oh, he froze up for a moment. I think Sam just wanted to get your input on the change, what you
Your
thought.
feelings about how to handle Governor's Cup.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've worked with them in the past. I think it's especially after reviewing some of the judges, I think it's a good option, especially keeping everyone safe is the most important priority this year. So we're in.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
You. No worries.
Okay.
All right. Well, any other comments or questions or any non-classic related things that anyone wants to bring up? Val, do you have any?
Sam, this is Kim Wagner. I'm just curious, do we know if the SLA is going to extend to go past the Labor Day weekend?
Good question. I feel like I may not be connecting my dots correct here. I was either on a Farm Bureau call or I spoke to Stephen Fleming from Empire State Development, and I believe their intention is to continue extending the executive order. The reason that there keeps being a sunset date is executive orders can only be extended every 30 days. So I haven't heard that they plan to do otherwise.
Great, thank you.
Yep. All right. Jerald, any last thoughts or words?
No, I'm just extremely excited. So is my team. We're really into this, and we want to do a great job for everyone. And thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. Well, we're excited to partner with you too, and hopefully more New York State wineries will watch this webinar, and we'll be submitting wines this year. So Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to participate this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other soon in person. And I wish you a very relaxing and regenerative Labor Day weekend in just a week.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.